think it goes without saying that we have to pass the SAVE Act. You have to have a voter ID, and the people opposed to voter ID want to cheat. They're fraudsters. And Chuck Schumer, top of the list. But also, the people engaged in violence, they're not protesters in Minneapolis or anywhere else. So let's stop calling them protesters. Let's start discussing them the way they are, as militias or cells. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz today. I still have a cold. Radio show's about to begin. Let's get to it. Militias. Why should I refer, or you refer, to so-called protesters in Minneapolis as protesters? Why should they be getting the benefit of that word? Oh, sure, there are people there who are opposed to what ICE is doing, and they want changes, and they're speaking their mind. They get the First Amendment, and I am all in favor of them having it, even if I disagree with them. Absolutely, and they need to be protected in doing so. It's not who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the violent, and they are violent. I'm talking about the organized, and they are organized. These aren't protesters. They shouldn't be thought of as protesters. They shouldn't be discussed as protesters. They're not protesters. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything over at TonyKatz.com. It was a story that was put together by Christina Buttons. Can't say I know her personally, but she's over there at the Manhattan Institute, and the Manhattan Institute does excellent work. Inside Minneapolis's ICE Watch Network, one of the city's protest organizations stoked a raging fire. That's the name of the article. And of course, they have got the "nobody is illegal on stolen land" signs. You notice you heard that from Billie Eilish over there at the Grannies? This bit of sloganeering, which is all part of Marxism and trying to gin people up to activities and to antics through slogans that are meaningless, right? It says anything can happen, and we have no borders, and we don't have to listen to any laws. It is a push for lawlessness, and as we have described multiple times, the objective is the destruction of Western civilization as a whole. Some people don't want to listen to that. Some people don't want to believe it. Some people don't want to give it its due. Those people, well, they're wrong. We've seen enough. We understand what it is that we're dealing with. This story of Christina Buttons that she puts out talks about the level of funding that has taken place within these organizations. And there's a group called Defend the 612. That's the area code. They claim to be a spontaneous community effort, she describes. But what she found was the organization. Starting with, as we have learned, these chats, these groups that participate on an app called Signal, Signal. Now, full disclosure, I have Signal and I've used it before, never to coordinate against my government, but it's a messaging app and I've used it before. It is on these Signal apps, on the Signal chat, that we learned that there was indeed coordination going on between elected officials and the well-organized, well-funded groups on the ground. This was Fox News. Minneapolis Teachers Union chief admits elected officials in anti-ICE Signal chats. And how Marisha Howard, my fault for the improper pronunciation. Marsha Howard, Marisha. All of a sudden, look at me, I'm Candace Owens. She's telling Al Jazeera that government officials participate in Signal Group coordinating ICE resistance activities. Elected officials, school officials, and others engage in these activities, not only engage, but in the funding. You wonder why I say why we should absolutely be breaking the teachers' unions in two. The teachers' unions have no place in our society. They aren't interested in education. They're interested in indoctrination. We'll get to that when we see how they have led these walkouts happening in schools all across the country. But these groups not only coordinate the attacks, they coordinate the propaganda, and they coordinate the hiding of illegal aliens, which is a crime. It's all a crime. Christina Buttons talks about a woman by the name of Jill Garvey. I'm not familiar with Jill Garvey. She pioneered this ICE watch model in 2017 with a Chicago group at the time called Protect RP. Then she founded States at the Core, and they turned this model national. It's at this moment you have to stop yourself from asking the question, wait, how did they do this? Your problem, and I'm speaking very, very specifically here, your problem is that you have a job. Your problem is that you believe in America and the American dream. Your problem is that you work for a living and you have a family. And there is no way on God's green earth you could ever imagine this taking place. You would have no way of noticing this takes place. I'm no different than you. I'm fully aware that I have got a job. I've got 2 radio shows. No, wait, I have 3 radio shows. I have 3 radio shows, and I have a separate company, and I do other things, and I do speaking. I'm busy like you're busy, and we don't have time for this. There are people dedicated to the eradication of Western civilization 24/7, 365. They don't do things like have children. They don't build families. They don't build businesses. They don't build lives. They exist, feed off of destruction. It's who they are. We're not discussing people who may disagree with us politically. We're discussing people who disagree with an actual way of life and don't want us to have it. They want to burn it all down. And they don't care with whom they burn it down. They are not asking for political fealty when you join their group. They're only asking if you brought matches. This is who they are. And they have one guiding principle, that all of this, whatever you want this to be, the family, religion, society, a future, strength, that is what they oppose, because in their view, there could be something better created. But it can only be better not through proving it in a model, an economic model, a culture model. No, it can only be done by destroying what already exists. If there is no other definition you ever have for Marxism, there you go. And so you have these communists and these Marxists, and so they align themselves with groups like Islamists, because that Red-Green Alliance, as we have discussed for over a year now, is by anybody who would be interested in destroying the United States of America. For what reason would these people want to do that? It's a great question. It's a great question. Sometimes the answer is money. Sometimes the answer is there's a financial opportunity. Sometimes there is a true believer aspect. No matter what it is, understand that it's there. And understand that there are forces at play who want to do away with Western civilization. And you see these organizations come together. This group, this States at the Core group, as reported by Christina Buttons, is funded well with the Hopewell Fund, which is part of Arabella Advisors. It's a dark money network. They moved $1.1 billion. $1.1 billion across 200 projects last year. That is a whole lot of loot. That's a tremendous amount of money. This group has trainings that are in 20 states: Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Charlotte. We're on WBT in Charlotte, so be on the lookout. And New Orleans. In December, this group, STAC, S-T-A-C, was working with local Minneapolis activists to help them form Defend the 612. They are explicit with interfering with ICE operations. They downplay safety concerns, delegitimize law enforcement, exactly what you hear from people like Ilhan Omar. I mean, how much more do you need to hear from Ilhan Omar than this? Ilhan Omar is saying that we should dismantle ICE, questioning the legitimacy of ICE. Listen.
When we say it is time for Kristi Noem to go, we mean it now. Let's go. When we say there needs to be accountability for the architect of the terror we are facing in Minneapolis and so many other cities, which is Stephen Miller, we mean we need accountability for him now. Let's go. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for joining the call to get ICE out of our cities, for us to dismantle this department that is not just rogue, but unlawful. And yes, obviously, if Kristi Noem does not resign and the president doesn't fire her, Democrats are ready and willing to impeach her.
We've been down this road with impeachment. We impeached Alejandro Mayorkas, and it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything because the Senate never held a trial. So now that we have precedent, Ilhan Omar, no trial is going to be held. But this is the group think here, the coordination with wanting to do it away with law enforcement. Remember, they're not making an argument that somehow we could do it better. They're saying we shouldn't do it at all. And in no time, at no time and in no place does the left at all say these violent actors are wrong. They ignore the violent actors because they support the violent actors, or they're afraid of the violent actors. Christina Buttons reporting that the signal networks are used to stalk ICE. Thousands of people across hundreds of neighborhoods track suspected agents. We now have stories of people being stopped in their cars. People grab license plate numbers. Who are you? Where are you going? Prove you're not an ICE agent. Prove you're not this. The illegal immigrant can walk free, but the citizen has to show their papers. These are not protesters. This is a militia working against the United States to try and undo the United States. These can be seen as cells. We should say it as it is. These are not groups of people who just magically showed up in the same place. It's coordinated violence. And it is why I state as clear as day that not only should ICE not stop, ICE should triple down. If you want to change a tactic, change a tactic. It was Kristi Noem who announced that they're now going to deploy body cameras. Good. Good. Go out there and have the body cameras and let's see what these people are doing. You want to change tactics? Change tactics. But let's not kid ourselves about the violence that we are witnessing and who it is that's engaged in the violence and what their objective is. These aren't people opposed to ICE actions. These are people opposed to America. And while others may scream and yell and tell you to shut up and all the rest, nah, just like ICE, triple down. Because America's on our side. These people aren't Americans. And one of us has to win and one of us has to lose. I think we should win. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Guys, welcome back. Tony Katz Today. A lot of angry comments already. Come on, guys. Hold on. Let's see where. Okay. I'm not going to disagree with you, Tom. If you're born in America, you're an American. What these people want is not America, so I refer to them as not American. If I'll cede your point, will you cede my point? Because if you won't cede my point, well, then you're not serious about the conversation in toto. I hear you. All right? I hear you. I see you and I hear you. How many ICE agents have been killed by these protesters? None yet. But they've been shot at. They've been rammed by cars. They've been attacked. So are you just waiting for it to happen? Oh, shut up. Oh, shut up. You shut up. Your mom shut up. No, wait, hold on. What does he have to say? Were the Tea Party protests? Because they were pretty well organized. Hell, a lot of them had friggin' corporate sponsors. Hold on a second. I was an original Tea Party guy. I did the first Tea Party ever in California. I have spoken in front of thousands on the subject. For us, when I was in California, we had no corporate sponsors. None whatsoever. I borrowed a PA system from a DJ. The stage was 2 sawhorses and 2 pieces of 2x8. Okay? I was there. Secondly, those were protests. There were no violence. No one attacked a cop. No one attacked any immigration enforcement people. Nobody was engaged in violence. Nobody was ramming people with cars. No one. You don't have an argument on this one, Sean. I know you want one, but you don't have one. Okay, well, if we're just going to curse, I don't need you around. According to producer Landon, LeBron James is going to leave the Lakers. Okay. As long as he doesn't come to the Pacers, I'm cool. I'm not interested. Tony Katz today. His greatness on the court can't be denied. The court vision is insane. The basketball IQ is really solid. The flopping and the crying is all really sad. I wouldn't want him. I would not want him at all. Now, the question before us is, how old is LeBron there, producer Landon? He's 41? Okay. But I mean, let's never mind what I think of him personally. It's unbelievable that he could still play at this level. He's been doing this since he's 18. It's unbelievable what he could still do at this level. I think he could walk. His place is secure. He's good. I don't know if he will. I don't know if he wants to. But I can't imagine that he has seen himself in a way, or people see him in a way that he's a benefit to future teams. There's a lot of ego. There's a lot of the complaining. Landon, you cover this stuff more than I do. If you guys don't know Landon, in addition to what he does here, he does a lot of local sports in Indianapolis and play-by-play and color commentary, all sorts of things. Very much a sports guy. Does anybody want him? Yeah, but is that enough to say we had LeBron James on our team? Like that's he'll sell some tickets and that's it? Like there's a team that'll take him for a farewell tour? I got to assume if he goes to a team, he wants a team where he can either A, get himself back to a championship and win one more, or B, it's a team that he's eventually going to buy a percentage of. Right? Okay, so if you think he's going to go to Cleveland or Miami for a reunion tour, Miami, I'm not being an expert on their situation. I don't know. I don't think Cleveland would want him. If he was on a team and they came through Cleveland, people would cheer. But after that, I can't imagine that anybody would want him. I would assume they'd be like, nah, the way you left us, the way you treated us, bah, Felicia. Like, no interest. But as for his time in the Lakers, well, his time for the Lakers could be coming to an end, and the career could be coming to an end. Never mind his politics and his grossness about Hong Kong. Never mind his lack of intellectual heft. I'll respect the play, man. I will respect the play because it was nutty. It was nutty good. And for the record, no, not better than Jordan. Said it, meant it, not apologizing for it at all. The 2030 census and where this has Democrats right now, and the SAFE Act, and why those opposed to voter ID don't have a cogent argument to why they're opposed. Keep it here. It's Tony Katz today. So I'm on day 3 of this cold. And so I'm on day 3 of no cigar. And that stinks. That stinks to high heaven. Now, Karen, do not rush the show. I am so going to discuss this. This is the top of hour 2. No, it is. Here, this is the whiteboard. This is the show. It's the top of hour 2, right there. Walkouts. Boom. That's it. Oh, and then there's Meet Chad. Right there. That's how I do it. I do that. I do that every morning for the morning show. I do that every day for the midday show. It's a big whiteboard. And then, well, I mean, I've got the big whiteboard is here. Like this is the giant whiteboard right here. That's all the plans for the future. This is just what I do for the show. I don't know how other people do it. I couldn't keep it in my head. No, I got to write it out. But this is a big thing we're getting to. The walkouts, the teachers connected to it, really bad. Truly. For the record, Chris, I don't think I'm ever going to shut up because I can't get paid. I think there's no financial future in it for me if I am quiet. All right, there's that. Let's keep our eye on. Okay. And let's see when that news goes out. Producer Landon, start looking for the story about the U.S. hitting an Iranian drone flying towards the U.S. Abraham Lincoln, which is in the Arabian Sea right now. See if you can find anything about that. Okay. Sorry, oh man, where'd that go? Why am I having so much trouble finding things today? Good Lord. Let's grab it over here. Thank you. So Reuters is reporting that the U.S. has shot down an Iranian drone. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. The USS Abraham Lincoln right now is in the Arabian Sea. A drone believed to be Iranian heading in that area. An Iranian Shahed 139 flying toward the carrier, shot down by an F-35. Now, just to give us a bit of a look of where we are and why this would be taking place and why it matters. Let's start with what it is we're looking at here, which is, of course, where the Arabian Sea is. The Arabian Sea is there off the coast of Oman, between Oman and India. And as you head north up the Arabian Sea, you will get yourself through the Straits of Hormuz, from the Gulf of Oman, through the Straits of Hormuz, into the Persian Gulf. It is the Straits of Hormuz here where the UAE and Dubai, and it just, I should say the UAE just juts right out. And then on the other side is Iran. It is there where you get the most amount of difficulty. The difficulty being that this area is it makes vehicles very, very susceptible to cargo ships, oil tankers, etc., susceptible to violent acts and attack. So that is always a difficult area to be. And it is in the Persian Gulf that you are seeing the possibility of troop buildups. You've got the Mediterranean Sea. So somewhere off the coast of Israel, you could see destroyers, Iran being a distance away. And then you have the Arabian Sea, where you have the USS Abraham Lincoln right now. This drone could have been just a test. It's the Iranians. It could have just been errant. There's a whole host of things that could have happened here from this drone. Was this drone armed? Was this, there are a series of things here of what could have or couldn't have been with it. And so there's some information to still get. But you've already seen that the United States is moving assets into the area. And the question before us is, what will come from that? Are we going to see some level of attack on Iran to get the Ayatollah to move out to allow the people to live free? Well, that part is part one. What does an attack look like? How long does it last? Do you need troops on the ground? How do you break the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, in order to make that happen? So that's the latest there. Wanted to share that with you to the best of my ability, that data. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the 2030 census. The 2030 census is looking horrific for the Democratic Party. And what that census is showing is that everything you know to be true has a result. What do you know to be true? People are moving out of California. They're moving out of New York. They're moving out of New Jersey. They're moving out of places that are led by Democrats, and they're moving to places that are led by Republicans. And when you take a look at the states that are losing people, that means they're going to lose apportionment. And that means they're going to lose seats in the House. They're going to lose seats. That means other states are going to gain seats, and those seats are Republican. Doesn't mean that every seat they gain will be controlled by a Republican. There'd be no way to know that, but the odds are ever in their favor. Now, someone in the chat room, as we're live streaming there on the YouTubes and on Twitter and other places, as long as they can't count illegals. Well, of course, this is the story. The story is that the political left wants to be able to count all persons as opposed to all citizens, because they take a look at what the Constitution says about the census. And if you are going to engage a full reading, I believe this is Article 1, Section 2. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states, which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of Congress and of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. So, if you're going to say to me, it's the number of persons, that's bodies, that is not necessarily citizens. And so that's where this argument has come from. What are we counting here? Now, if you want to know about the 3/5 and everything else, well, this has to do with the fact that we were a country that had slaves. And there was a large concern about counting slaves towards apportionment and giving the South too much power. Well, why didn't they just get rid of slavery? That's a damn good question. And the answer is they couldn't make it happen politically. They couldn't get it done. There were southern states that wanted this. Their entire economic future was about this, a practice that existed the world over. And there were people in northern states who couldn't make it happen without the South. This is why when it came time to write the Declaration of Independence, they had been working on this and talking about this, and the Congress was in session. They wanted to say, okay, we've had enough. there was a group of 5 that were put together to work on, okay, what is this declaration that we're going to write? And a large part of this had already been written, at least conceptualized, by Thomas Jefferson in something called the Summary View. And there was a tremendous amount that had already been conceptualized by John Adams in regards to how a country should be put together. How do you engage these very concepts of checks and balances and understand that we are indeed, by our right of birth, a free people? Really stunning stuff. But this group of 5 said, okay, Adams and Jefferson, you write this thing. And what Adams said to Jefferson was, no, you write this thing. Because John Adams knew that he was from Massachusetts. Virginia was a much bigger state. Virginia had much more power, and it needed to be led by a Virginian in order to bring these other states along. They needed these states to be able to form the Union, to be able to break free of King George, even with all of the imperfections and the true evil and ugly of slavery still dangling around their necks like the albatross. They knew it. Jefferson is a guy who had slaves and wrote about how we shouldn't have slaves. Dear Lord, I don't know how he necessarily lived with himself. I don't know how we would have been better off if he didn't write the Declaration of Independence. Man, history is messy and ugly. Slavery is just pure raw evil. But you needed to get the nation started to get yourself down a path to be able to get to the place where Abraham Lincoln said, we're done here, and if we have to fight about it, so be it. Didn't mean to get off on a tangent there, and I apologize. But the census shows that the left is going to lose representation. Man, they are angry about it. And they are fighting it left and right. And one of the ways that they're fighting it is they do not want to have an ID to vote. The SAFE Act, as it is known, is something I support. I called it the SAFE Act. The SAVE Act. SAFE Act is something different. The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. It's voter ID. It's voter ID is what it is. And voter ID is valuable. Voter ID is important. And all rational people support voter ID. Bring on Chuck Schumer, who has said that the SAVE Act is dead on arrival, and if the House should add the SAVE Act to any of the legislation regarding funding the government, it will be dead on arrival. We will not vote for it. After all, the SAVE Act is nothing more than Jim Crow 2.0. Dear Lord. Everything with Chuck Schumer is Jim Crow. Remember when Georgia changed their voting rules? Oh, that's Jim Crow. More people voted. It's Jim Crow. The man is so boring and so predictable, and he doesn't know how to make a cheeseburger. Chuck Schumer is a schmuck. He doesn't want you to have a voter ID because he wants to cheat. He wants people who are not citizens to be able to vote, believing they will vote for him. Because after all, we're the ones saying, we'll give you this and we'll give you that. We're the Democratic Party. You can have the other thing. He's buying votes. Everybody knows it. No one's pretending anymore. Americans support voter ID. This was Harry Enton over there on CNN, where 71% of Democrats and 95% of Republicans support voter ID, a photo ID to vote. Correct. Every rational person supports voter ID. Every single one of them, except for Chuck Schumer and the people elected in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. Those Democrats, they don't believe you have to have an ID to vote. There is a lot of talk about how President Trump is saying, hey, let's save this for later. I don't want to have a shutdown. Shutdowns don't help anybody. I think President Trump was a little bothered from the last shutdown. He doesn't think it went as well as it could have. It didn't help him. No shutdowns. Let's save this for later. People like Representative Anna Paulina Luna are like, absolutely not. This has to happen. This has to happen. We have to protect the vote. We have to safeguard the vote. We can't go another direction. This has to take place. I don't know how it's going to end up, but what I will tell you is anybody opposed to voter ID wants to cheat. They want the opportunity to cheat. Anybody who says that it's racist to demand a voter ID is a bigot who thinks that people who are black or are brown aren't smart enough to get an ID. Those are disgusting people who say that. And they should be immediately dismissed. If you think it's racist to demand an ID to vote because you think people who are black or brown aren't smart enough to get an ID, that kind of bigotry is saved for the Democratic Party, and I want nothing to do with it. Nothing. Because that's what Democrats are saying. That's what Chuck Schumer is saying. That's what people in these media outlets are saying. Why? Because they'll say anything to keep voter ID from happening because they know they'll lose. 71% of Democrats, 95% of Republicans. The president shouldn't say don't attach it. The president should say attach it to everything you can find. It's time to have voter ID in the United States, and we will all be better off. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. But people do that. Yep. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz Today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Let's see. What comments did I miss? Y'all got the Gestapo running around in your country and are talking about voter ID. Yeah. First of all, we don't have the Gestapo running around in our country. What a weird thing to say. And secondly, we can talk about lots of things. We are capable. I don't know about you, but we're capable of talking about more than one thing at a time. But maybe you're not. We'll try and talk slower for you. We'll try. We'll see if that works out. Let's see if I Missed anything else? If slavery is evil, do you advocate abolishing jails and prisons? No. There's a far cry from somebody being forced into servitude and a jury of your peers declaring you guilty for a crime. Tom, I'm going to demand that you up the game and be focused. All right? Come on now. That's all I ask. Why is my mother sending me pictures of food? So my mother moved. My mother moved from independent living to assisted living. Parents get older, these things happen. And she's the one who initiated it. You know, it's not like in some cases kids have to say to their parents, hey, this isn't working. And my mother very much in charge of her future there. So she's been it was just over the weekend she moved and so she's testing things out. And so lately it's pictures of the food that's being prepared, and she's like, all right, this is good, this isn't, I'm gonna still have to make this, but I like this. And so that's what I don't know about you, that's what I get. By the way, my mother in the day was brilliant. She never referred to herself as a chef, always a cook, but just crazy raw talent. I'm pretty good. My mother had a sense of timing that was impeccable, especially for like large scale things, like large family dinners or large gatherings, understanding pacing of food and how long that thing would take and how long it could hold and how it's going to stay. So good. Like I have not been able to emulate it. Spectacular. Let me get back to the show. Sometimes there are great headlines. Sometimes there are horrifying headlines. Sometimes there are things too terrible to be believed. Tony Katz today. And then sometimes
your car's seatbelt, safety miracle, or decapitation nightmare.
What is the connection between rain and farming? The answer may surprise you.
Heroin, sex, machine guns, flamethrowers, murder. There's no story here. We've just found that ratings go up when we say those words.
It's time for the worst headline of the day.
Women chasing the perfect body are pumping ethically sourced cadaver fat into boobs and butts. What? That's the headline. I couldn't make that up. There it is from the New York Post. Women chasing the perfect body are pumping ethically sourced cadaver fat into boobs and butts, and they're saying we're recycling. There is a woman who spent $45,000. She's 34. She spent $45,000 getting her hips and her rear pumped full of a dead person's donor fat. I gotta tell you, that is unsettling. I can appreciate that there is a striving for beauty that is never going to go away. It has existed throughout the millennia. It's not going to go away. There comes a moment of maybe that's too much. Maybe I'm good. You know what the craziest part is? I thought this was the worst headline of the day. And then I found another one. I don't even know if I'm allowed to share this on air. I'll run it by producer Landon, see if I get the okay. Oh yeah. It's gross. This is Tony Katz Today. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. Do you know the other story? I sent you the show sheet. You have it. Yeah. Yeah, but that one's about insertion. All right, I've said too much. I've said too much. I'll get to it. Hold on. Here's a comment. Is this a maggot? Oh, you are funny. You are funny. My God, I've never heard that before. Oh, look, you just got deleted. That's a shame. Hey guys, we are in commercial break with the radio station, with the radio shows. So we will take the break right here. And yes, one of the Facebook feeds dropped, and I'm sorry that happened, but it happens sometimes. I don't know why it is. But it happens sometimes, Pete. So I'm glad that you're here. With that, we're taking the break. Guys, hang loose, smoke them if you got them. And we'll be back in a moment. Keep it right here. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. So the House is voting. First of all, if anybody could tell me how to keep glasses clean, I'd be very appreciative. The House is voting right now. If I have it right, they're passed a procedural rule just now, and that rule will allow them to vote for funding the government. So this is all happening in the House right now. Let's see if I can bring this up right here.
Distinguished ranking member of the Transportation, Housing and Urban Development Subcommittee, Mr. Clyburn.
Hello, Mr. Clyburn.
South Carolina is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I thank the gentlelady for yielding me the time. Madam Chair, I rise as ranking member of the Transportation and Housing Appropriations Subcommittee in strong support of this bipartisan legislation in large measure because it freezes funding for the Department of Homeland Security at its current level while allowing for several days, 10 to be exact, for us to continue to zero in on that segment of the legislation and hopefully reach a bipartisan agreement. But we have already reached bipartisan agreements on 5 other sections. And one of those in this bill includes $113 billion in discretionary spending for transportation and housing programs and reflects a renewed commitment to addressing the affordability crisis and improving the safety of our transportation systems. For housing, the bill prevents the eviction of more than 4 million low-income households served through HUD's rental assistance programs, including those currently served
Come back to the radio
by
show. Let's go
Section
do this
8
thing.
and public housing. The bill reinforces efforts to combat homelessness by increasing funding for homeless assistance grants by $366 million. It protects investments for mayors and governors by providing $3.3 billion for the popular Community Development Block Grants Program.
That's Representative Clyburn being very down with getting this legislation passed and keeping the government open. The House taking a look at what it is that the Senate has got going on to end the partial government shutdown, which, well, I mean, it's newsworthy in that, you know, it's oh, here we are, shutdown again. It's not newsworthy in that it had certainly did not have the same level of intrigue and effect that the shutdown had October, November. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Find everything going on over at TonyKatz.com. If you would, I have, like you have, been watching these walkouts take place all across America, certainly in my beloved Indiana. You've seen that high school students are organizing and they're opposed to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and they're having walkouts. And you look at this and you say to yourself, how is this happening? Why are schools allowing this to take place? Why is it that students are allowed to walk out during school hours? Why is this all right? And I mean, I've got lists here: Tallahassee, Indianapolis, San Antonio, Orange County, Los Angeles, California, Chicago, Phoenix. ICE should be disbanded. ICE should be destroyed. Well, I don't concern myself with 16-year-olds when it comes to policy. It's not what we do. I also don't yell at 16-year-olds when it comes to policy. That is a valueless proposition. Can a student properly protest? Sure, why not? You don't like something, you grab a sign, you take to a street corner. But we have laws in the country, and the law says you have to be in school. Why are they allowed out of school to do this? Locally, it's not that they were just allowed. The student was organizing this, and the administration came to the student to work it all out. You mean to allow this to take place? The school allowed this to take place as opposed to doing what they should have done, which is, hey, you feel passionately or strongly about this, go right ahead, but not during school hours. We don't allow this during school hours. Now, someone said their parents could give them permission to go. Well, that is very true. We have a lot of bad parents out there. This could have happened after school. This could have happened on a weekend. Why would you allow it to happen during school hours? Because when you have a group of students getting up and walking out, you're disrupting those students who want to stay and learn. I don't think that that's acceptable. I don't think that it's right or it's proper to do these things, to go out there and tell other students they don't have the opportunity to learn because these students over here are going to create a scene and walk out. Do you think they walked out just quietly? Because I don't believe that to be true at all. Why would the school not say you can do this, but you can't do it during school hours? We don't allow this during school hours. The answer is no. The answer is no. Why can't you say that? Why wouldn't you say that? Why in the world would you not say, we don't allow this? The answer is no. And yes, for many kids, they had no idea what they were participating in when they joined these things. It was a free day to get out of school. Absolutely. And everybody understands that. I appreciate the comment. It's 1,000% accurate. It was just a free day to get out of school. But locally, I'll use that as the example. Maybe this happened in other places. Students were allowed to sign themselves out. So first, administrations, teachers knew about the walkout. Then administrations, maybe with teachers, approved the walkout and allowed it to happen. Then maybe parents signed their kids out shamefully. Then kids could sign themselves out of school, which is what happened locally at one high school. Well, as long as if the student wants to sign themselves out, they can. We don't want the teachers to get involved, and they have to exit through this door, and that's that. I didn't realize kids could just sign themselves out of school, just walk away. I don't recall that in my upbringing. I don't recall that being something that's safe. That's nuts. That's certifiable. Who would ever allow such a thing? Why would anybody allow such a thing? Now, in this, people will discuss the students themselves. I don't. I don't worry about what a 16-year-old says about ICE. I don't worry about what a 16-year-old says about guns. I do not concern myself with what 16-year-olds say. 16-year-olds can be insulted by this, which is fine. They're 16. I do concern myself with teachers and administrators that are okay with this kind of activity. People have to start getting fired. The only answer an administrator or an administration can give is, yeah, you can't do that on school time. The answer is no. Don't care how you feel, get to class. Every other answer is wrong, and we have to ask ourselves, why do we have that principal? Why do we have that administration? Why do we have that superintendent? When do we start firing people? Any teacher that was supportive, we saw this in San Francisco, where teachers are teaching kindergartners to make signs and hold signs and engage in chants. It's abusive. It's gross. The teacher does not accept the fact that no one cares about their politics. They care. And I'm not telling them that they can't care. But when you want your politics to be part of your education and how you indoctrinate kids, I think we should fight in the streets. Me, I'm paid for my opinion. That's how I got the gig. I've got a really interesting opinion on a whole bunch of things. Some people agree with it. Some people disagree with it. I'm very entertaining. And they said, hey, you should do radio. And I said, that sounds great. And I said, what does it pay? And they said, not as good as TV. And I said, dang it. And I still took the job. And here I am today. I'm paid for my opinion. People don't like it. They can change the channel. Teachers are not paid for their opinion. Your political opinion? No one cares. You think your political opinion is important. I think your political opinion is yours and shouldn't be anywhere around my kid. They think that the classroom is their personal soapbox to talk about all their feelings and all their personals and everything else, and it's not. So you have teachers encouraging this kind of behavior, this kind of radical behavior. You think I trust those teachers to give a full understanding of what Immigration and Customs Enforcement does? Who it is that they're going after? The issue with illegal immigration? Will they honestly discuss the fact that breaking the law is breaking the law? I doubt it highly. I don't trust them to do it. And it's another great example of that teachers cannot be the ones who are in charge. It always has to be parents. Parents are in charge of what happens at the school. Yes, I think it's bad parenting to sign your kid out and let them partake in these nonsense fakakta protests. I also think it's rude to the other students. But if a parent signs their kid out, I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to say there. Except maybe in another circumstance, another situation, a parent would be told, well, you can't do that. That's violating the law. Maybe. But in the end, I usually side with parents. And so for the sake of this conversation, a parent signs their kid out. I might think it's despicable. I might think it's dopey. I might think that parent sucks, but they can do it. But students could sign themselves out. Students could sign themselves out. Well, that's a little bit too far. The administration went too far. The student is allowed to go too far. The administration is failing the student. You have to start firing people. There is no middle ground here. We either have rules about how we deal with schools and school safety, or we don't. You think it's safe to just let a bunch of kids walk out into the street? Do we think that this is safe? That's what happened. There's video of it everywhere. I have people calling me, hey, they're blocking traffic here. You think that's safe? You think that's smart? You think that's valuable? Most importantly, you think these kids have the slightest clue what ICE is? Or do you have leftists desperate to create more leftists and indoctrinating children into a nonsensical thinking? Were they ever given the opportunity to discuss the ideas? Wouldn't they have been better off in class, depending on the class, actually discussing these things out and engaging with people who might disagree with them without being disagreeable, learning that people may have different thoughts and you're going to have to associate with people like that? No, let them act out on their emotions and let them be in the streets, said administrations across the country. Start firing people. And absolutely remember that teachers' unions are the enemy. That's going to get me into a lot of trouble. But any teachers' union that is okay with this and okay with teachers doing this isn't in favor of education. They're in favor of indoctrination. They're not in favor of child safety. They're in favor of child endangerment. And we can't have that for our students, so they have to be fired. Sometimes you can't fire them because those unions are pretty dang strong. So, crush the union. Somebody on on the live stream was saying that, he's anti-union too. Oh, no. You have it all wrong. You want to be in a union, be in a union. If the union is acting in a way that is counter to the best needs of the people they're supposed to be providing for, well then, break the union in two. Doesn't matter to me if you like it or not. I don't want to hear about how teachers need to get paid more. Teachers need to be respected more. You allow students to walk around in the streets during classroom hours. With all due respect, you lost any respect that you could have possibly gotten. I'm on record about teacher pay. I'm on record about treating teachers with respect as professionals who control their classrooms. But no, they don't control their classrooms. The students are controlling the classroom, and the administration's allowing it, and the teachers' unions are supporting it. Therefore, don't ask for my respect. You're not getting it. You haven't earned it. You don't deserve it. All you're doing is putting children in danger for your ideological freak show desires, and you should be fired for it. You're bad people. The administrators are bad people. I didn't say they couldn't have an opinion that's different from mine. Of course you can have an opinion that's different from mine. But you can't let kids walk around the streets during school hours. I mean, that's just stupid. You can't have it. You can't allow it. I can't believe we're arguing about this. I can't believe there's anybody on the other side of this most rational talk. And you'll notice that every part of me is about the teachers, the teacher unions, and the administration. And don't worry, I know that there are administrators who listen to the show, and I'm going to see them the next time I'm at the school for something that's going on, and they're going to shake my hand. I don't know if they're going to say anything or not. Maybe they won't shake my hand. Oh, I definitely have school board members in my town who walk the other direction. Let them. I don't spend my time going after people. I'm taking a look at a situation that they failed at. I shouldn't say anything? Everything they do is perfect? Nah. No. And whether it's my local school district or your local school district, these are firing offenses as I see them. Endangering kids for your political desires is a firing offense. Not being honest with kids and saying, we don't do that, but you can do all these other things. Firing offense. You didn't teach them. Sometimes children have to be protected more often than not from themselves. So, a lot of walkouts, and I'm sure there'll be more to come. Don't ever forget that where you live, you're in charge. You're the parent. Vote out those school board members. Push to see superintendents fired, principals fired, teachers fired, and unions broken. Take control of your kid's education. It belongs to you and your kid, not some union or some very endangering administrator. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Man, the comments are just out of control. Oh no, they're protesting peacefully. Oh, Captain. You know that's not the argument, but hey, if you want the kids to be in charge, that's just weird. That's a fetish I don't connect with. Oh, right there. Oh, they hate being challenged at the school board meetings. But you gotta stay on them. Hold on. This just in from Jason. I never heard of more of a group of whiny men than before I started paying attention to this station. There are probably the same people's grandparents who didn't agree with the civil rights movement. They want you to flex your First Amendment rights unless it doesn't fit their narrative. Kind of the same with the Second Amendment. Wow, Jason. That's an unbelievably inept thought. Clearly, you don't spend any time listening whatsoever. And I can't help you if you're not going to listen. This is nothing more than an emotional outburst and not a comment. Do better. All right. Kids should be in class, but we have fascists in the government employing secret police to disappear people from our free nation. Spencer. You know, when you wrote it, you must have realized you didn't have to keep writing it. And when you finished it, you could have realized that you didn't have to post it. And when you posted it, you should have felt some shame. Disappearing people. You mean people who are in the country illegally? You don't believe in laws at all? You're losing this battle, man. And rightfully so. Rightfully so. Let's see. I missed a bunch. Wow, there were a lot. A lot of stuff. Sorry, I missed some of the comments. We'll get back to it. So where are we with the shutdown? Do we have a vote? I'm keeping an eye on the vote because the House did approve new rules for the debate. The vote was 217 to 215. And so they are working right now on the possibility of that vote coming in really any moment now. I am curious how that's going to go. I do love it when Representative Lauro is screaming and yelling at people from Connecticut. She's a treat.
Days on DHS. Let's not have to focus on 5 agencies where there is agreement on what we do. And there is agreement on our side of the aisle. Despite what the press may report, there is no single Democrat in this body who believes what ICE and the CBP are doing is acceptable. And I cannot believe that a number of my Republican colleagues feel the same way. Let us focus in on the Department of Homeland Security. Let the public understand the nature of the fight. Quite honestly, let my Republican colleagues at the administration defend the Department of Homeland Security and its lawlessness and recklessness when the majority of this country is seeing what they are doing.
Sure.
We all want the same thing. We want to keep our constituents safe.
Liar.
We want to stop the violence in the
Not true.
We want to end chaos in our community.
No, you don't.
And that these out-of-control agencies have created. The simple truth is we have a better chance of imposing real constraints on ICE and the CBP if this bill passes than if it fails.
I would like to see controls and restraints on the IRS, but hey, I'm only one person. Tony Katz today, Representative DeLauro there out of Connecticut. I put forth to you that what your colleagues, your people on your side of the aisle, Rep. DeLauro, want to see is more violence. I mean, that seems obvious. Now, there's this talk about they want to dismantle DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and I say, okay. I mean, we're already going to dismantle the Department of Education. Why can't we get rid of Department of Homeland Security? Why Why can't we get rid of government agencies? Do you think we can't protect the nation without the agency? Department of Homeland Security only came about after September 11th. I'm not a fan. Get rid of it. The idea that somehow we're not going to be able to protect the nation still is nutty. We still have to engage in deportations. We have to. People here illegally have to go. People who want to be here legally, we should be supportive of if they want to actually be a part of the American experiment. If they want to tear it down, we've got no room for them. So with that, if they want to go about defunding and we're going to save money, great. But if anybody thinks that we should stop, they're just nuts. And as for the violence, which continues to be a defining characteristic of today's political left, let's meet Chad. Chad has a lot to tell us. That story's coming up. I'm Tony Katz. Thank you so very, very much. There it is. What, you don't like her purple hair? What? No, it's just her style. I think she's hip and with it. I think it's I don't know, maybe it's a cry for help. Maybe it's just how she likes to express herself. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for any of this. But yeah, I don't get worked up about you want to defund whole departments. That's fine. Hold on a second. The fact that you think she's hip and with it negates anything you say is reasonable. You're right. I should be more aware of what I'm saying. Thank you. Thank you for that right there. I appreciate you quite a bit. All right. Is she still talking?
That is my responsibility as the ranking member of the Appropriations Committee. This is the way our government functions. I thank you. Again, we have a better chance to end the season of terror. I thank you, and I yield back.
Oh, he yields back. Gentleman from Oklahoma is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield myself the balance of my time. Mr. Speaker, when you reach a point like this, there's a lot of people to thank. I want to begin by thanking the President of the United States.
Okay, well, he's going to thank President Trump.
And every
I want them to get on to a vote already. That's all. I just want to see the vote take place. I want to see the vote happen. And then I'm going to introduce you to Chad. Chad's a heck of a story. A very, very unique and strange story. So I will have that for you. Let me see what else is going on. And then there's the story about Savannah Guthrie's mom. Have you been following this? Savannah Guthrie, who hosts the Today Show, her mother went missing in Arizona. It's been 3 days or 4 days, and they found blood at the scene. It's the weirdest story. Very weird. Okay. Well, now we've got ourselves a story. Let's see. I don't know. I will let you decide if he is a Giga Chad. I'll let you make that call. Also, a little bit of a programming note. Let me see if I have this right. I am on Newsmax tonight. I am on Newsmax tomorrow night, and I am on Newsmax Thursday afternoon. You got that right. I think I got that right. All right. Let's go talk. So we brought up earlier that the U.S. military shot down an Iranian drone that was approaching the USS Abraham Lincoln. The Abraham Lincoln right now in the Arabian Sea. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. This, of course, as there is the gearing up for what may come and trying to remove the Ayatollah from power in Iran. But in order for the people to have an opportunity for a better life, you're going to have to do away with the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. It was an F-35C fighter jet from the Abraham Lincoln that shot down this drone. If I didn't say hello, Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today, live streaming YouTube, Tony Katz. Be sure to subscribe. And I stated when we first broke this news in the last hour that it didn't have information on the type of drone. We knew the name of it, right? It was an Iranian Shahed 139. But is this the kind of drone that's armed? What was the purpose, etc.? But allow me to tie into another story. As we discussed earlier, the Straits of Hormuz, this area that connects the Gulf of Oman to the Persian Gulf, that you have to kind of come around if you're in an oil tanker or something else, and it's in between the UAE and Iran. Iranian gunboats unsuccessfully attempt to board U.S. oil tanker as Trump builds military presence. 6 armed Iranian vessels attempted to board the tanker before a U.S. Navy ship escorted it to safety. If I take these two stories and I put them together, this is the Iranians trying to instigate. That's all this is. This is the Iranians trying to instigate so that there's a move made by the U.S. so they can say, look at these aggressors, and somehow feel emboldened to make moves or get other people to their side, therefore maybe building an opportunity for concessions that don't mean the Ayatollah being removed. All these two things did not happen in a vacuum. They just didn't. Neither has the call for violence. This isn't isolated stuff. This is the standard of the political left at this moment. This is Chad. Chad is a special type. Chad is the kind of guy who, well, he's a nurse. He's a nurse, and he wants you to know that as a nurse, he's this like super, super decent guy. He's the most decent guy out there. Everybody else is terrible. And he has a real thought, multiple thoughts, to how one should deal with MAGA, Make America Great Again, how one should deal with those who he disagrees with. Let's listen to the nurse, Chad, very upset with ICE.
How much power nurses have in this country? One of our own was just murdered in the street.
I have never heard nurses refer to one of their own before. He's talking about Alex Preddy. But Alex Preddy was shot and killed by ICE. Alex Preddy was known to be part of a group that was tracking ICE. Alex Preddy was known to ICE for being an agitator. And there's video of Alex Preddy that no one denies is Alex Preddy screaming at ICE agents, spitting at ICE agents, and destroying their property. Just so we know who we're talking about. Let's continue with Chad.
So we might be able to stop this somehow. Thoughts?
Good morning. Did you know most ICE agents don't wear their plates properly? I've seen it.
You know, as the type of ICU nurse I was cardiac ICU nurse. And I did a lot of time, lots of hours holding on a groin that wouldn't stop bleeding. Let me tell you what, that femoral artery, those veins in the legs, I can't remember. It's late in my shift, okay? I know it. I'm tired.
Good thing to know that the nurse doesn't remember the names of the veins in the leg. I, for one, feel safer. But what is this talk about the femoral artery and bleeding?
Anyway, the vasculature in the leg, it really bleeds well. Someone could bleed out very quickly from that. Probably like a couple of minutes, really.
So are we to believe that Chad is now saying to us, hey, if there's an ICE agent that comes in, it'd be pretty easy to see him die. If there's somebody who supported ICE who came in, it'd be pretty easy to see him die. That certainly sounds like what Chad, the nurse, is saying.
I would really suggest to all the healthcare organizations out there that if you have knowingly MAGA employees, that you terminate them. They're not safe people to take care of other people. You can't have people who have open racism in the healthcare system. I mean, we already know that exists.
So he can talk about letting people bleed out. But if you're openly MAGA, you're a racist and you can't take care of people in the healthcare system. That's Chad. Well, Chad got recognized because Chad is a nurse. And people saw him and said, hey, that's Chad the nurse. I know Chad the nurse. Chad the nurse just said you should let people bleed out who you disagree with or if they're ICE agents. So Chad the nurse made another video. And in this video, Chad the nurse wants you to believe that he didn't say any of the things that he said. Chad seems pretty upset.
I know you guys who follow me know me, and you know who I am as a person. And you know that I'm really passionate about everybody being treated equally, no matter what. And I think it's really annoying that a post that I made talking about nurses who are MAGA, basically questioning if they could treat people equally. And I don't believe that you could if you believe those things morally. And so I said that I didn't think that they should have jobs. Somehow that's been twisted so that I wouldn't treat a MAGA patient the same. And that's not at all. That's not. I often treat them, and I treat them just the same as I would treat anybody.
That's not what you said, Chad. You said it'd be easy to let people bleed out. You did say that you don't think people who don't agree with you politically, they shouldn't be able to have jobs. You did say that, but you did say it would be easy to let them bleed out. Now, Dave is saying, not to correct you, Uncle Tony. Uncle Tony, I don't do I feel, am I all right with that? Yeah, maybe. But it sounded like he was outlining what could incapacitate someone with the least amount of effort with an easily accessible object sharp to a point on the, Oh, you think he was advocating? Oh, you're not saying that he was advocating that nurses should let people who are injured bleed out. You think he's advocating for how to engage the violence against the people he disagrees with. Oh, I had not considered that. I swear to you, I had not considered that. If I had considered that, I don't know if I would have played it. Oh, well, I guess it's possible. All in the ear of the beholder. Meanwhile, Chad is still trying to defend himself.
because I believe that everybody should be treated the same when they come into a medical office. Everybody should be listened to and heard, and everybody's concerns are valid. And those of you that have been following me on my platform since I've been here, it's a stupid little platform where I don't talk about much, really. But you guys know who I am as a person. And, you know, I can take a lot of stuff on the internet. Like, I can take all the gay bashing and stuff that's been thrown my way. That doesn't bother me.
I'm not interested in anybody doing that. That's what does your sexuality matter to me? What matters to me is that you could be somebody who might have to provide care for one of my children, and I don't think that's your interest. I don't think you would do it. I think you made this video to cover your previous video and maybe any future lawsuits that come your way. You cannot decide because someone disagrees with you politically that you're willing to say out loud, I'm in the healthcare field. We all say do no harm, but that guy, it's okay to harm. We already see this from anti-Semitic doctors. I wouldn't work on a Jewish patient. You see doctors, Islamists saying this stuff all the time. It's a serious issue in medicine. A lot of serious issues in medicine, including med schools that are more interested in their doctors knowing that they're performing surgery on stolen land as opposed to how you actually perform the surgery. Graduating people based on characteristics that have nothing to do with how well they did on their MCATs. Whether or not they can actually do the job. It's a real problem. We have a real issue when it comes to medicine in America. And I don't think I'm any different than you. Maybe you do this, maybe you don't. I trying to think the last time I was in a hospital, I had blood work done. I thought the person who took care of me was spectacular, joyous, terrific. I actually left a review. I was like, this is great. The last time I was in a hospital was 3 years ago for something like, okay, something's wrong here. I thought I was well cared for. There isn't a moment I don't walk into a hospital or a doctor's office where I'm not fully aware of everybody there and whether or not I feel true emotion, somebody would not give me the care that I need. Someone would be like, oh, I know that guy from the radio. Let's not take care of him the same. My wife looks out for it. I look out for it. I know it sounds madness. It sounds crazed. There's Chad proving my point. Proving my point. Now, I'm going to argue that he was only talking about what was in the hospital itself. I don't know if he was arguing, hey, this is how you could really do damage to somebody. Maybe he was. I didn't take it like that at first. Maybe that's my own naivete. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Let's get to the comments. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see where I was. Oh, somebody wants to know who am I? Do I want to post that? It's got cursing on it there. Pretty sure it landed. Should I post it anyway? Nah. I don't need that dude. I don't need that dude in my life. Not at all. There it is. The House vote is going on right now. Pete asks, is anything going on with the House vote right here? Let's see what's going on. Bring this here. Let's see what I've got going on here, because I thought I saw I've got Caroline Levitt here talking about the SAVE Act, which I want to see. Let me go back over here. All right. So now that vote, the rule vote passed, so therefore I think this is going to pass. I don't know if the SAVE Act is going to now come another day. Is that what I'm seeing? I think that might be it. Yeah, Mike Lee saying we're close to this. So they may have, if I understand it right, they moved the SAVE Act off these bills to get these bills passed, and they're going to bring up the SAVE Act separate. So this, and the only Republican who voted with the Democrats, Thomas Massey. That was on the first vote. All right. Coming back to it. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it quite a bit. So here's what I think is happening as the votes continue to come in there into the House of Representatives, the motion to concur in the Senate amendments, that if I have it right, the SAVE Act, which is about voter ID, is going to absolutely get voted on, but I think it got pulled as something separate. This is Caroline Levitt, the White House press secretary.
He said specifically that they should take over elections in 15 states. Can you tell us what he meant by that? What 15 states he's referring to in terms of Republicans taking over elections?
Again, what I was just telling you is that with the passage of the SAVE Act, voter ID will be implemented across all 50 states. The president was referring to specific states in which we have seen a high degree of fraud. If you look at states like California, or if you look at New York City, for example, non-citizens are allowed to vote in elections in places like California and New York City. That just creates a system, an electoral system, that is absolutely ripe with fraud. And you cannot deny the fact that, unfortunately, there are millions of people who have questions about that, as does the president. He wants to make it right, and the SAVE Act is a solution to doing it.
Wholeheartedly agree. So what I think took place is that the legislation is going to move down the road. We're seeing those votes. We're going to end the government shutdown, right? That's what we're going to see. And now, after that, we're going to see movement on the SAVE Act. All right, I think I've got this together. Yes, I got it right. The only person, only Republican who voted against advancing this thing down the line, Thomas Massey. It's not even cute anymore. It's super weird. We get it. He hates Trump. Trump hates him. Super weird. Indeed. And then there's, I'm not getting into it on the show because I don't know what I'm supposed to add to it. This story about Savannah Guthrie, who hosts the Today Show, and her mother's missing, like she disappeared. It's one of those stories where you're like, that actually happens to people. And you're like, yes, it does. And where did her mom go? And there was blood found at the scene. And I hope it all works out well. This is Tony Katz today. Crazy story. Super story. Hold on a second. Super weird story. That neck is spilling out of your shirt. I'm assuming that's exactly what you say to your mom every time you see her. Honestly, if I don't get in 2 or 3 good mom jokes a show, what kind of show is it? What kind of show is it? Good Lord. Oh, okay. If you want to send them, send them. Hey, piggy boy, ever consider a salad? Now, let's discuss. First, was this comment going to stop me from doing the show? What is this? What is going on here? What did you think was going to happen? All of a sudden, your little comment's going to get me to pack up an entire career? You have nothing else to do with your time? You have no thought to share? No girlfriend to sleep with? Nothing else going on in your life except that? Listen, man, you don't have any power over me. But I take from the comment that you don't really have any power over yourself. No self-control, no capacity to find things that matter, a purpose to life, which is extremely important. No, just this. I wish you well. I hope you find some happiness, because nothing about this comment says that you're happy. I hope it gets better, man. I really, really hope it gets better. And Jennifer, my brisket is indeed just unbelievable. I have skill. This summer, I use a Traeger, which can be seen as cheating. I don't care. My brisket is delicious. But when you don't have to mess with temperature, you don't have to really engage the wood and the airflow and everything else, you could argue that it's a touch of cheating. You can argue that. I have a friend that's got like this 20-foot smoker. You do different things in different places. And so this summer I am trying it every way. I haven't done pork shoulder or pork butt yet. My kids are kosher. I never get the chance to. I want to do that. I'm going to try some different briskets. I'm going to perfect burnt ends if it kills me. So I have a lot to do when it comes to brisket, and I'm probably not going to invite you to eat it anyway. And I want to apologize now that you're not going to get the invite, but I will tell you all about it. And that is a poor substitute. I know. Again, I apologize. Guys, I appreciate you. The radio show continues at WIBC.com, so be sure to listen to that. Answer me, do you live in the United States? Are you asking me? I think it's already pretty well documented that indeed I live in the United States. I think asking where someone lives might be seen as a little bit weird. Maybe you weren't asking me. Just saying. A little bit weird. I appreciate you. I can't thank you enough for being here. We are back tomorrow at noon. So join me if you would. If you would, greatly appreciate it. And I'll catch you tomorrow, guys. You be good. Take care.